Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining yet another podcast in our coaching community. I wanted to say good morning, but this time it's actually already almost evening for me. I'm back in Europe, as you must know, or if you don't know, then I'm telling you now. So basically today I'm pleased to have with us Jennifer. And today we're going to be talking about a very, very interesting topic close to everyone's heart, is really understanding marketing. I know a lot of coaches complain that marketing is the least part of the business that I actually like doing, which is sad because this is kind of like the most important part of the business. This is where really magic happens. This is where really you start having a business, because without clients, without marketing, there is no business. There is just doubling into something. And today in particular, we're going to be talking about data that and insights that you can gain from doing marketing that can actually facilitate the whole process even more. And so I'm excited, about learning more from Jennifer. She's an expert in this field. We met a couple of months ago. Actually, it's been a while since we've spoken last time. And she's actually even going to be joining us twice. Sometime later this month or next month, we have another session scheduled with her, because she's a real expert in a number of fields. And when we had this conversation with her, I'm like, okay, let's talk about this and let's talk about that. And so I'm really excited about this and having this conversation and learning from Jennifer here today. So over to you, Jennifer. Tell us a bit more about yourself. What is it that you do? And yeah, go ahead and share.
Hey there, everyone. So I'm Jennifer Tamborski. I am actually a digital marketing strategist and the CEO at Virtual Marketing Experts. We really work almost exclusively with the coaching world. So we help coaches, consultants, and online course creators really design, develop, and implement a profitable marketing strategy so that they're able to grow their business. Because as Rena just said, without marketing, you don't have leads. Without leads, you don't have sales. Without sales, you don't have a business. So I know for a lot of people that marketing can be, well, scary or overwhelming, or they're just not sure really where to start with it. And so I really like to take marketing and just get it down into the basics of it. Honestly, marketing is all about making a real connection with your audience to move them through your customer journey so they become happy buying customers, because that's all what all of us want, whether we're in the coaching industry or not. We all want happy customers that come back to us over and over again, and also become this referral partner where they are spouting our praises to everyone they know. So I really want to take the fear and mystery out of marketing in general and break it down into something that's easy to understand, and even better, easy to implement. So today we are actually diving into what I like to call the heart and science of marketing. Marketing is both an art and a science. There are two distinct sides to marketing, and not everyone is great at both or even understands both, and that's totally okay. The art side of marketing is all focused on content, copy, imaging, branding, those fun pieces of your business. I mean, let's be honest. How many of you went out and designed your logo before you did anything else in your business? That's because people enjoy that piece of it. And they often focus primarily on that, on creating content, on creating, graphics and imaging that will really resonate with their ideal client. However, often the science side of marketing is what's forgotten and ignored. And I get it. Numbers can be scary, whether that's your financial numbers or numbers that come from your marketing. Quite frankly, there are so many thrown out there when it comes to your marketing KPI that often we're not even sure which ones are important, where to start. It can be completely overwhelming, which is why I want to take the mystery out of it, take the mystery out of the science of marketing. And in other words, the data that should be driving your marketing. So if we think about marketing, 50, 60 years ago, heck, even kind of 20 years ago. I mean, I feel really old every time I say this, but reality is internet is still pretty young, right? It's less than 50 years old, y'all. So 50 years old, 50 years ago, when we talked about marketing, a lot of marketing was done. Ad campaigns were done. All of that kind of thing was done based on guesses. There wasn't a whole lot of data behind it. If you were a kid and you saw on TV ads for McDonald's or Walmart or IKEA or any other of, you know, those big brands out there, where you saw billboards on the side of the road or ads in newspapers, the effectiveness of them were really left up to a guess. If you look at marketing history, you'll see that a lot of businesses focused on brand awareness, which was really driving people to their locations, letting them know that they were there. There wasn't as much in the buying process of knowing how that person came to the point of sale. The point of marketing was to build a brand that people trusted and bring them into your store, to your location. So they put ads in front of people everywhere and in as many ways as possible. And quite honestly, this is still an important part of marketing. Brand awareness is critical when it comes to your marketing. However, now we can actually track that information and capture it and understand how people are coming into Meet Us and where they're going through that process. Now more than ever, marketers need to let analytics guide their strategy. We've all seen, especially in the past couple of years, huge changes in business and in marketing and how people connect with each other. I mean, let's be honest, one of the best things about COVID was that it turned people over to, hey, we can connect online and we don't necessarily have to be limited to our small space. When we think about it from that perspective, we are also able to use this data when the marketing world turns upside down, like last year's iOS 14 and 15 updates that changed the whole landscape of marketing online. It's important to have that data in front of you so that you are able to see what's happening in real time, and more importantly, what you should do in order to pivot. If you have that available, you're better able to make actionable decisions when it comes to your business. You no longer have to guess at what works in your marketing. Data will actually tell you that every day. In fact, you now have the ability to track someone through their entire buying process and know exactly where they came from, what attracted them to you, and what was the last thing they did before they bought. All of this information is accessible in your marketing data. Data is so important to everyone, whether you're new in business or you've been in business for a long time and you already know your ideal customer very well. Data allows you to gather information so that you're able to build a strategy, and you're relying on facts rather than feelings or hope, because I'm here to tell you right now, hope is not a marketing strategy. It's not a business strategy. So when you have these hard, concrete pieces, you're better able to take action. When you neglect the data available to you, you really are flying blind. And yet, business owners tend to develop their strategies focused on things they've been told, or gurus that have said, do exactly this and it will work for you. Things that others have found success in. And they often don't really look at whether these things are actually working for them. They're assuming because someone told them to do XYZ that it is definitely going to work, and they neglect to dive into that aspect of whether or not it will. So the question becomes, are your time, money, and effort being returned to you in the form of conversions and moving your business towards that goal? Data really does remove those blinders from you. So quick story. I was actually talking to a potential client once. We were discussing her ideal clients, because that's one of the first things I always ask people when they come to meet with me. Who is it that you want to work with? She had her ideal client profile completely laid out. Like, she knew, she has from a name, she's named the person, all the way down to everything about them. And I'm sure a lot of you do as well. However, when we started to really discuss her data, who was actually visiting her site, following her on social media, signing up for her lead magnet, connecting with her, they were actually the exact opposite of who she wanted her ideal client to be. At this point, she was able to then make a choice to either change her ideal client profile and say, okay, I'm attracting these people. These are the people that actually want to work with me. Let me double down on that and attract more of them. Or she got to go, you know what? I really don't want to work with these people. I want to work with these people. So she could change her marketing strategy entirely to focus on bringing in more of the people she actually wanted to work with. When she had the hard data in front of her, she could no longer say that what she was doing was working to attract her ideal client. The data just simply showed that it wasn't. And it allowed her to make a pivot in her business in a way that actually made her business stronger and able to grow. That's the power of data. It gives you real information about who you're attracting, if what you're doing is working, and what you can do to change it. More importantly, data makes it easier to track your ROI. I firmly believe that marketing should bring a return on an investment. Marketing is not an expense. It is an investment in your business. And because it's an investment, you want a return on it. The question is, do you actually know that what you're doing is working to help you hit your overall business goals and revenue? Without that data, you really don't. You're guessing about whether what you're doing is working. Marketing data is both a source of customer insight as well as proof that your marketing efforts are helpful for you to get a positive return on your investment. Understanding exactly how each point, I apologize, give me one. The price we pay for working from home, right? My dogs are going nuts because there's a squirrel outside. I do apologize for that. So data is understanding exactly how each point within your marketing strategy connects to your revenue, helps you identify the value of that point in the big picture. This is one of the ways in which data becomes so powerful in the realm of social media marketing, because it lets us see exactly where you're leaking time and money. The science of marketing is all about measuring and analyzing the numbers. Do you know the number of prospects you reach or that you need to reach in order to make a sale? Do you know the number of people who read your messages on social media or that open your emails? Do you know where your clients convert to buyers? These are data questions that are important to the success of your marketing and things you can actually find out. Data-driven marketing helps you reach the right people. And as business owners, you want to find those customers who will not only convert and buy from you, but who will be loyal and repeat customers, and almost as important, brand ambassadors to everyone they know, because you're a fabulous coach and can help who they know. Data can really help you find that ideal customer. Data-driven marketing helps you to see what works, and more importantly, what doesn't. It can provide an accurate, unbiased assessment on the performance of your marketing tactics, strategies, and campaigns. And when you know what is working in your marketing, you're better able to pour gasoline on it and really crush that strategy. You get to scale it and make more money and more revenue and bring in more clients. And that, I think, is all of our goals. As coaches, I really believe that we want to change the world, right? One person at a time. When you know what your marketing is doing, you're better able to do that. So when it comes to marketing, the most common question I get asked is, where do I start? What do I do? What do I track? There are so many options out there that people get confused. And the most important thing to start with is really establishing your goals. Because until you know what the ending result needs to be, you don't really have a plan to get there. Data can help you set those milestones, but what's your objective for the marketing? What do you want to accomplish? And how will you know when you've accomplished it? I mean, it's kind of like taking a test, right? When you are in the middle of school and you're testing, you know you've succeeded when you get that 80%, 100%, whatever your goal was for that test. You know you're successful and you've succeeded in doing that. You also know if you don't, that you haven't been successful. And here's something: failure is simply feedback. Let's be honest, we know that in marketing, we are going to not hit every goal post every time. However, what it tells us is what we need to do differently. It gives us and it provides us with the opportunity to make changes and pivots in our business. So once you've determined your goals, you're better able to figure out what you need to do in order to track those goals. A lot of businesses try to boil everything down to getting more sales. And quite honestly, that's what we're all looking to do, right? We all want to make more money. And yet there are specific pieces of your marketing that may not be directly revenue generating, and it is still incredibly important to do. The data allows you to really break that down. When you review the goals of your marketing as a whole and your campaigns as parts of that whole, you may want to consider how a campaign fits into the overall strategy. Is it there to build brand awareness, generate leads, or help a prospect contact your company through a phone call? Those are the questions that really help you to then look at what I need to learn from the data. For instance, when you're looking at your social media channels, whether that's Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, I can go on, but I'll stop there. You can discover when your audience is most likely to engage with your posts or your video, and also who's following you. You can actually find out quite a bit of information from your different applications within those social medias. All social media platforms have some kind of data backing where you are able to really dive into what's going on with your business page. Often when we find that, we'll find in our business that a client sometimes says, I post at 9 a.m. every day or 3 times a week or whatever it is. And yet, when we really analyze the data, we learned that their ideal audience doesn't actually interact with their content until 3 p.m. in the afternoon, which is a completely different time, different area, different time to post. And when you know this, you're better able to plan, because here's the truth about social media algorithms. The whole point of them is engagement. which means the faster someone engages with you on social media, the more that the social media pushes your stuff out. So when you know when someone is going to comment on your post, like they're more likely to comment at 3 p.m. on Tuesday than they are at 9 a.m. on Wednesday. If you actually post at Tuesday at 3 p.m. and people start commenting, Facebook or Instagram, all the social media platforms actually just send that out to more people and more people and more people, which when you increase your engagement, you can increase that more organic following of your social media. When we're looking at organics, when it comes to data, we also can find out things like, are we attracting more men than women? Are we attracting people in the US or in Europe? Are we attracting people that are within 50-mile radius if that's your goal? You really can get all of that information from the back end of social media. Once you've determined your overall business and marketing goals, you're able to really reverse engineer the points along your customer journey to track what parts of your marketing is working to move your audience through to that ultimate goal of being a buyer. You can get a very clear picture of what progress your marketing is making at every stage of the customer journey. For those of you that don't know what a customer journey is or a sales funnel is, it's simply the way that your audience is connecting with you, right? To move them from a point of interest of you through to a buyer, the whole buyer journey. And it may include things like your content on the internet, and you can track that. You can track exactly who's watching it, when they're watching it, what they're doing. It may also include things like a lead magnet. So they're opting into something. You can also track that. Like there's a lot of information you can track from a landing page. You can track the emails. How many emails are you sending out? Who's opening? What are they doing? What's your open rate? Are they clicking on that next step? Are they doing that? So you're better able to really look at what is moving the needle in the goal of your business. For example, if you're a coach who has a high ticket offer and your ultimate goal is, let's say, to fill your mastermind during your next launch. Your launch may be 2 weeks, right? You have open cart, you're trying to get people into this mastermind in open cart. In this case, you really want to track the number of leads that you already have in your funnel, the open rate for your email list, the show up rate for your webinar, if that's how you're moving people in, or maybe it's a 5-day challenge or something else. The number of discovery calls that were scheduled from that, the show up rate for the number of discovery calls that you have. All of this information can really help you to create a better launch next time. It will tell you if you need to add 100 people or 1,000 people to your email list between launches. If your webinar topic is engaging enough for people to show up, or if your email headlines are getting people to open their emails. All of these things can really help you to refine your messaging and refine your marketing when it comes to connecting with your ideal client. Every touch point that a customer has with your business, whether in person or online, is trackable if you've set up the correct tools and systems to do that. These key points are your key performance indicators. So it is all of the things that you need to define when establishing your goals and your strategies. Your KPIs are, well, they can be very specific to your business. While there are a lot of different KPIs, depending on what you are doing, you may want to track specific ones. These are really the events you track and measure so that you can see if your efforts are working and you're on track to meet your goals, or whether you're linking money through a specific part of your funnel, or if there are areas that you can optimize. For the most part, you're going to track your progress towards that big conversion event. But along the way, there are micro conversions. There are things that you want people to be doing along that customer journey. And by understanding whether or not they're doing those things will really help you to understand if the whole process is working. Depending on the type of marketing campaign you're running, there are specific metrics that you want to measure. So Facebook ads, as well as LinkedIn ads. For those of you that don't know, Instagram is also owned by Facebook, so this can be used. These are the same data points that you're really going to want to look into when you're designing this out. So obviously you start with the ad spend. I get asked all the time, how much should I spend on ads? And it all depends on what your goal is and how much you can invest, how many people you need to bring in. Honestly, there's not a specific number. There's a minimum I suggest that people start with, but there's not necessarily a definite, you have to spend this much to make this much. It just doesn't really work that way. There are also other key pieces when it comes to running ads that you want to look at to know whether or not your ads are working. So things like your click-through rate. This is the percentage of people who actually click on the ad. The number only includes those who have seen the ad, and it's the percentage that click through from the ad to your website, landing page, funnel, wherever you're directing them to click. This is an important metric because it helps you to understand your customers. It tells you what is working with the ad. So if you have a low click-through rate, you know that people aren't necessarily connecting with the ad. If you have a high click-through rate and people are landing on your page, but not doing whatever it is you're asking them to do, you know that there may be a problem with the page itself. And there's thousands of things that could be a problem, whether it's the content that's on the page or the loading speed of the page. It's all a matter of figuring out what's not working on that side. So your click-through rate can really help you to determine whether or not, that's step one, and whether or not the ads are working for you. And there are things like your cost per impression. In Facebook, it's really odd. They call it a CPM instead of cost per impression. But this is the metric that really demonstrates whether or not your campaign is working according to Facebook. So the lower the CPM, the more effective and optimized the marketing campaign is. It's one of the first things we look at when we're looking at how your ads are working. The higher the CPM, Facebook tends to penalize you if people aren't engaging, right? They're not clicking, they're not following through, they're not doing something. So they make it more expensive to run the ad. You have your cost per click. This is the amount that you pay to actually have someone click on your ad. Or if you're running Google ads, it's your pay per click, your PPC. That's cost per click is really the metric that tells you how much Facebook is going to, or Google or anywhere else is going to charge you for someone to click on your ad. There's always a goal on this. So if you've never run ads before, you want to look at it from a standard of what's industry standards for these things. And that's all dependent on what your campaign is, what your target market is, who you're trying to engage with. You also have the return on your ad spend, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is how much money are you actually making from the ad spend. Now, as a coach, this is often the hardest piece to measure, because when someone clicks on your ad and enters your funnel, oftentimes it takes them a while to be ready to buy from you. Let's be honest, if you are a high ticket coach and you're charging $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, It takes a lot of warming up and nurturing for those people to really be ready to buy from you. So that doesn't mean that you shouldn't track it though. Understanding where people are coming in and what your return on your ad spend is incredibly important. And then the last of this particular piece is your conversion rate. So this is the percentage of people that took the action you asked them to take. This may not be a direct purchase. This may simply be signing up for your email list or signing up for your webinar, or it could be a purchase. They may have bought your $37 micro offer. Whatever that thing is that takes them from cold audience that they don't know who you are to I'm now a member of your audience. That is a conversion. So you'll see that term thrown around a lot in the marketing space, your conversion rate. And here's the honest thing, it means different things for different people. So when someone asks you, or you ask someone what conversion rate is, make sure that you guys are both on the same page. So for you, a conversion rate may be actually buyers, like how many people have actually bought from me. But for a marketer, a conversion rate may be how many people signed up for your email list. So being really clear about what that means is essential when you're running ads of any kind. The next section of terminology, I guess, is Google Analytics. There are a lot of different methods of capturing data, and Google Analytics is one of the best. It is one of the key ones. This is really a piece of code, if you don't know, that you put on your website that Google can then track. Not sure how many, I'm assuming that everybody nowadays knows that you're tracked everywhere you go on the internet. I mean, I hope everybody knows that by now. Google, Facebook, all of LinkedIn, everywhere can be tracked. But what Google has that's different from Facebook is Google's tracking your website. So it's tracking things like the number of users and sessions that actually show up on your website. It's also tracking things like how long someone is on your website. And then the average number of pages per section. So does someone come onto your website and float around? Like, do they come to your homepage and they go to all the different things? Or are they going simply to a landing page? If they're not interested, they click out. That leads us to the bounce rate, which is just that. How many people actually bounce from your website? So your bounce rate is actually the average percentage of people who visit your website but leave without doing something, whether that's buying or signing up for your email list, whatever that might be. Google Analytics can also help you track your organic versus your paid traffic. So things like how many people are searching for whatever it is you offer and finding you versus how many are coming through paid ads, whether that's Google ads or social media ads. It really does help you to clarify where your traffic is coming from. And it can also tell you what are the top pages that people are landing on, like where are they coming? So if you have a landing page or a sales funnel, are they coming in through there, or are they coming in through your homepage or somewhere else? Maybe it's a blog post. That kind of information can really help you to become aware of what is bringing people in and whether or not they're doing the thing you asked them to do on that page. So for instance, if you have a blog post and you have hundreds of people coming to that blog post and spending enough time to read it, right? Because that's one of the awesome things about Google is it tells you how long someone spent on that page. If they're spending enough time to actually read it and go through it, then you know that that's an effective marketing tool. They're really able to, if they're spending that time on there, that's supporting what you're doing in your other pieces of marketing. So maybe you need to write more of those types of blog posts. The two most important tools really that people use in this day and age are Google Analytics and some form of social media marketing tool, whether that's Facebook/Instagram or LinkedIn, if that's where you're hanging, or Twitter or YouTube. Those platforms allow you to really gather data for free. That's the thing. You don't have to spend lots of money in order to get data. All of these platforms allow you to have it. Google Analytics is filled with all kinds of advanced tools that really help you dig deep into finding it, into getting that customer information and interaction with your website. And 90% of people are on Facebook. Let's be honest. It's one of the biggest platforms out there. So the Meta Business Suite is actually a fantastic tool to use to really dive into all of that information about what's going on in your business itself. So all of this data, all of the things that we are doing allows us to really help decide what we're going to start, stop, or scale. Once you've set up your goals and established your KPIs, you're better able to track how they're working. So you can start new initiatives, or which may be things like maybe an ad's working really well, so you can do more of those, or a post on your social media is working really well, so you can do more of those. Maybe a blog post or your YouTube video, your YouTube channel is being highly effective to driving people to your next piece. That kind of information allows you to start new things or start driving people down further into it. It also allows you to scale, pour gasoline onto whatever you're doing that is already working. The last thing we want to do as business owners and marketing is to continue doing things that don't work. I mean, the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Reality is sometimes what we're doing isn't working. However, when it is, we are better able to really scale that to, for example, Facebook ads. You know that ad is working really well. You're getting great engagement. You're getting great follow through, your click-through rate, everything is going well. You can invest more money into that ad to get more people, to just continue to pour money and time into something that's working, as opposed to continually throwing spaghetti at the wall. You can actually do this with all of your social media, whether it's paid or organic. If you notice that a particular type of post has been converting better for you, you can create more of those posts. And if you find that a certain type of video has been performing better for you on YouTube, create more of those videos. All of this allows you to really scale your business and your marketing. And sometimes that's not about throwing more money behind it. Sometimes it's about putting more time and effort behind what is working. Maybe that's about finding an affiliate and knowing that affiliate drives a lot of traffic over to your business. Knowing and understanding what's working in your business allows you to really help scale that. And lastly, it really helps you stop doing the activities that aren't working for you. Your data gives you the opportunity to stop doing what isn't working. I'm going to say it again. Your data allows you the opportunity to stop doing what isn't working anymore. So often, business owners get into a rut of this worked before, so it has to work now. Reality is that business and life changes. And sometimes what we did before isn't working anymore. And by having your data available, you really can understand that and stop wasting time, money, energy, and effort on things that just aren't moving the needle for you. There's a lot of data marketers can use to learn everything about every step of their marketing. And the marketing analytic tools can really provide the valuable information to know what to do next with your business and your marketing. So this is, always keep in mind this, and I say this about marketing as well as data, doesn't matter. It is better to start sooner than wait. Before you need the data, add the pixel to your website. Add the Google tracking ID to your website. Add, if LinkedIn is your jam, that's where you're hanging out, add that information to your website. The more data you're able to gather over a long period of time, the better off you're going to be in the long run. That, my friends, was a lot of information about data. So, Rena, are there questions in the group?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I do have a couple of questions.
Awesome.
Here. So first question would be, I mean, you're working clearly with coaches as well, and you're helping them to embrace data so that they don't waste time. And I certainly have seen that in my business, that, you know, we get pulled in so many different directions. We have to do this and we have to do that. But actually, when you take a step back, there are certain things that work and you actually get real clients from, and there are other things that just kind of like that shiny object that drain you of a lot of time and effort, but actually don't really contribute to the business. And so what are some of the most common mistakes that you see your clients or coaches in general make when it comes to using data in their businesses or not using data in their businesses?
That's the most common mistake. Not using data is really the most common mistake, right? It is the one thing that most people, they don't know what to look at or where to start, so they don't do anything at all. That's the most common mistake. However, there are things that other mistakes that people make are waiting, whether it's marketing in general or data specifically. So many people say, when I get XYZ in my business, whether that's one client or 6 clients, or I'm making $1 million, whatever that thing is, there's this imaginary point of when they will start doing that. Marketing, gathering the information, the data. That's where people struggle the most, is waiting too long. Because by the time people are ready to start running, let's say Facebook ads, right? By the time people are ready to start running Facebook ads, quite often they could have collected enough data to turn on ads, and they start this whole fire hose of leads coming in. But because they waited so long to start collecting the data, Facebook doesn't have anything to work with. So then you're investing in collecting the data first before you start actually running the ads to it.
That reminds me, I mean, Facebook, there was some change recently with Apple.
The iOS 14 update. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, so there was a lot of changes. The iOS 14 update actually changed the whole marketing landscape. Doesn't matter if it was Facebook or Google or anyone else, Facebook was just yelling the loudest. What it really did was focus on consumer privacy. So people with Apple phones could opt out of being tracked. That is, while it definitely affects the data in some respects, it also doesn't, because throughout history, it's been an average of the amount of people that come to your website that they're tracking. The data that Facebook and Google and all of the other places got were never 100% accurate. So you always want to use supporting data. So like, If Facebook says your ads are running and you've collected 5 new leads, well, you can look at your email marketing system and know whether or not 5 new people have come in. It's really simple to kind of verify whether or not that data is accurate. So there's always a little bit of supporting information and supporting data that you're going to want to do, because most of it was it's always been an estimate. It's just now everybody knows it's an estimate instead of just us marketers in the background.
Oops, sorry.
You're fine.
There you are. Apologies, there's a huge storm passing by, so that's why it's a bit dark. My next question would be, there is the Facebook, there is the Google Ads, and it's kind of like an old kinds of different places. And some people might be more familiar with the one, but not the other. Is there any way for us to have it all in one place?
So you can actually use Google Ads to track 99% of the stuff that you do. Or sorry, not Google Analytics to track about 99% of everything that goes on in your website. What Google Analytics doesn't generally track is like your email marketing conversions. They can track people clicking on the links in your email, but like open rates, all of that kind of information that you get from your email marketing. Google Analytics can tell you how many people came from Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. Like it can tell you what social platforms it's coming from, how it's coming in, and it can give you that data, because, and most people should be using Google Analytics on their website or their funnel, whatever you're using, whether you're using ClickFunnels or Kajabi or Kartra or any other number of different services out there. All of them allow you to add Google Analytics to it so that you're able to track that information.
My next question is, how does working with you look like? What's the process like? What is it that you look at? Where holding and such?
So there's 2 ways to work with me and my company. There's our done for you model, which is basically we do all of your marketing, all of the pieces, including your data. Everything is done through us. Of course, marketing is a done with you process. You can't completely abdicate your marketing. You have to be involved because it is you and your brand. There are definitely businesses out there that can, like, McDonald's can abdicate their marketing. It's, not necessarily the person marketing. But for coaches, it is you, it is your brand, it is your business. So you can't abdicate. So it is a done with you process. That being said, we do all of the heavy lifting for it. The other way to work with us is more of a group model, where I basically help you to create an effective marketing strategy, an effective marketing funnel, and run ads and start marketing it, start bringing in those leads. And that is more of a interactive, where I teach you everything I know and help you through the process. And you go and do the work, or maybe hire a VA for the tech things that tend to scare people.
There are some conflicting views about, is the organic route the right route? Is the paid ads route the right route for a coaching business? What are your thoughts on that? And when do you think, at what point in a coaching business journey would you advocate one over the other?
So I think you have 2 things to invest in your business: time and money. If you don't have one, you invest the other, right? So if you have no time on your hands because your business is rapidly growing, you get to invest money into your business to have someone continue to help you grow it. If you don't have the money to invest, then you invest the time to really pound the pavement and hit that, do the networking, do all of those things to organically grow your business. I think you can actually start running paid ads almost immediately in your business. Paid traffic will accelerate the speed at which your business can grow. Now, you may not be ready to hire an agency to run those ads for you. It may be something that you join a program where you learn how to run those ads yourself and start with low dollar amounts where you're focusing more on brand awareness and getting people to follow you and like you and connect with you, which helps support that organic growth. Because let's be honest, if Facebook and Instagram are your primary places to connect with your audience, organically trying to grow those is very time intensive, very labor intensive, and there's no guarantee that it's going to work. So if you support it with a little bit of ad spend, you can get better returns from Facebook than simply going out there and posting on your business page or on your Instagram page on a regular basis. Facebook is a business too. They want to make money. So if you pay them, they're more likely to support what you're doing. They also have some amazing, and LinkedIn as well, have some amazing ways for business owners to start generating money. Like right now on Facebook, Reels are they're huge. They're the latest push from Facebook. On Instagram, Reels, stories, all of those kind of things are still big followers. If you do whatever the platform is pushing, they're more likely to give you a pat on the back. So like on YouTube, they have micro videos being a huge draw. That's what YouTube is pushing. So the more micro videos you create, the more YouTube supports your channel. On LinkedIn Live is their latest and greatest. So the more lives you do, the more LinkedIn supports your page. So it's all about what it is that you have to invest. I will say this, if you want to run ads, avoid doing it yourself without any support or training. Ads can get incredibly expensive, incredibly quickly if you don't know what you're doing. So before you actually start running ads, make sure that you've invested either in an agency to run it for you or the time to learn how to do it yourself.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. How can people connect with you, those who are interested in hearing more about this topic and learning or have a conversation with you?
Yeah, so there are a couple of ways to connect with me. Obviously, I have Facebook, Instagram. My website is virtualmarketingexpert.com. However, I do have a gift for everyone, which is a quick audit of your marketing in general. So it's the quiz that I know that Rita just posted, which is mmquiz.com. That is actually a quiz to give you an audit of what you have in place and whether or not you have what you need in order to really grow your business via marketing. I also have my podcast, Marketing Matchmaker, which is just me and sometimes guests sharing all of our love about the geeky side of marketing and helping coaches to really make that impact in the world.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really enjoyed this conversation. You made me thinking, and I've written down a few ideas, a few things I gotta get done on my end. So thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for sharing with your wisdom. I look forward to our next session. And those of you who've been joining us here on Zoom and have been watching us on Facebook, thank you so much. If you have any questions, do reach out. Do feel free to reach out directly to Jennifer. I'm sure she'll be happy about that.
I'm always happy to answer questions.
Yes, and thanks again. And see you on Thursday, guys. We have another podcast coming up where you will learn more about sales. So bye-bye. See you next time.